Good morning, everybody. It's 9 a.m. on Thursday, March 26, 2026, and we are here to have a public hearing on the maximum property tax levy. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing at this time. We have Shelley from the auditor's office. We got Lisa, we got Bjorn, we got Nin, myself, and Mike for the supervisors. We have Sean from the assessor's office. So, all right. The meeting is now open. Public hearing. Go. Anything you want to say? I have not received.
We just received a updated fund balance. I have not time to review it, but is there red flags in there somewhere that I should
No, it's the same. No, it's the same.
be reviewing?
Nothing has changed.
And for the record, this public hearing is to set the maximum tax levy.
Correct.
In the next week or two, we can, if we need to, we can lower it, but we cannot raise it above what we advertised for today, just for the public knowledge. I did receive one email from your staff, Kaylin. Somebody called and wanted to talk about it. They were going to be unable to attend the meeting. I did call them back. I left a message and I received nothing back.
I think we all will agree that the flyer, what we send out, the letter is confusing. I don't know, there was some discussion that possibly that the state legislature was going to be considering making changes. Were they talking about maybe eliminating this also?
I don't know if it's a different form or eliminating, yes. I
Yeah.
would say that serious thought of eliminating, yes.
So just as a side note, so we can tell everybody, last year, this mailer cost Jackson County $6,389.65. That was last year's mailing. This year's mailing cost Jackson County $6,843.77. Of which, now, we pay that even though we're notifying that this is also for the city and the schools, but Jackson County bears this whole cost. So the
And
cities and the schools do
it
not
was brought up
reimburse.
several times at the meetings and they're
Yeah.
well aware of it and they probably figured that, yeah, probably unnecessary or what's the alternative, I suppose.
I think.
To be transparent, I think there's the whole.
Yeah.
the whole-
And
I think we
again,
are being
you
transparent.
gotta send out the mailer. We're doing a public hearing to be transparent, you know?
Right.
And when I talked to some of the legislators back in January, they were like, the intent was good. This isn't what they intended.
Yeah.
They thought it would be a lot more self-explanatory, easier to read. A lot of the legislators I talked to said they struggle reading the letter they get and they create it. So,
Correct.
that being said, did anybody else receive any comments?
So I would say briefly, we should probably go over where we're at with the levies, maybe, or can we? I see Shelley.
Well, I had to step
Yeah, I
out
was
for a
just gonna
second.
say.
But no, I have not received any other
I have not
calls
received any other. calls.
besides a couple family members asking me about
I
it.
mean, we're
So,
minimal.
Bottom line, briefly or understandably, is about 9 cents
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
for across the board, or is it general or in the rural?
where did Shelley go?
I know some of them forms are kind of hard to read also.
I don't want to be misquoted, so I
I'm
will.
going off this one she gave us on
Yeah, maybe.
March
that's
2nd. Looking at that.
Can we just take a recess till Shelley gets back?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and take a
Okay.
recess? All right, we'll go ahead and reconvene at this time. And now that we have Shelley back, Shelley, do you want to kind of briefly go over the levy rates and how they're affected in the next 27 budget?
Sure. Sorry about the delay. So for the countywide tax rates, the countywide rate went down 0.09884 cents per thousand.
We're gonna call that the general.
The general,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
So almost 10 cents. And that the dollars, because of the countywide valuation, the general valuation went up approximately 300,000. The dollars went up 300,000, $304,102. because of the increase in, the general countywide valuation. So if you took the new, tax rate of 5.28054 times the general countywide valuation for next year, it would increase the tax dollars by $304,102. Then the rural, theirs went up. The rural went down, but the supplemental went up, so it's an increase of approximately 20 or 19 cents per thousand. I'm thinking that.
No, it's about 9 cents.
No,
9 cents. What I have on my sheet is 0.8840.
Well, that's the countywide,
Yeah.
so if you take the countywide of 0.09884 lowered. And then subtract the rural supplemental by 0.089086.
Yeah.
And then increase that rural by the supplemental of 0.27631. The countywide,
Right.
including the rural, would be lower overall by 0.08841 cents per thousand.
Okay, rough numbers is that the general went down 9 cents and the rural went down 8 cents, so it went down 17 cents. The total rural supplemental went up. So bottom line is
There's a 9 cent.
9 cent
Total tax rate decrease.
Increase.
increase.
Well, yes.
And the reason this is, if I understand it right, is because the way the state changed their property taxes and how we can bill for it,
We're limited, yes.
we are limited. It used to be a 350 levy for the general and a 395 rate limit for the rural. And they started looking at evaluations plus how much you spent, and you can't. Now our maximum for the general is what, 326?
Yes.
And for the rural is 296 something.
Yeah.
So we've lost about $1.25 in levying authority.
Correct.
That is forcing us to look at where things can be placed in the budget and where they can't be. And that is why some of the stuff, and this is insurance, the rural supplemental, if I understand it, remember, it's the FICA, the IPERS, that kind of fees. Those are the only things that can really be in the supplemental. Other things can't be, so we had to move that back in there, which constituted the increase. And because to fall under our levy rates, we had to take them out of where we had them. And so it's a kind of a shell game type of thing, but it's the only way we could get it to work. So yes, it looks like that expense isn't a new expense. It was just there in another category, which to make the numbers work, we had to move it back into this category because it wasn't zero. Now we had to put it in there. That raised it up. So that expense was always there. It just wasn't in the rural supplement.
We're just getting the dollars from a different,
Right,
different fund.
right.
So
So,
yes, we are only allowed so much growth.
right.
That's part of the problem, is growth.
Even though the growth that they limit us to is half of what inflation usually is.
Mhm.
So, it's,
Well, and part of the problem is and it's great that when the cities have TIF projects and they pay those off, the valuation in that, it's called increment, which is where the cities get the increase in valuation from a frozen year when they started the TIF project.
Mhm.
That increase in valuation is where the cities get their TIF dollars to pay off rebates and development agreements and pay for infrastructure for their projects. So when those are paid off, that valuation goes back into regular valuations. The state includes that in our increase in valuation.
In
So-
growth.
yes,
In
So
growth,
that's,
Yeah.
you know, again.
so we're
and
penalized.
I was under the understanding when they did all this, that new construction was eliminated from all that too.
They've
Nobody
talked
can
about
give
that.
me an answer.
They've talked about
I've
that.
asked
I
them
mean,
out there,
that's-
I've asked Nobody can give me an answer.
And new construction, they say, is left out, but the problem is, by the time it drops back into our coffin, our coffers, or our budget, it's 10 or 15 years old, because that's when the development agreement
Yes.
expires. So it's not new development anymore to us, it's just an increased evaluation, because the property where it's coming from is 10 or 15 years old.
But I believe that we had to have our software provider come up with a program so we could, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but didn't we have to have where they, well, didn't they have,
On a
we
different
had to
hat.
know what the new construction was, what the value was? So I believe they're tracking new construction.
Yeah.
Correct. See,
I-
so they're tracking the new construction valuations. So that's interesting. They know about it.
So I'm not talking about TIF districts,
Nope.
new construction. I'm
We're talking
talking
about a new
about
house.
rural construction, new construction,
Yeah.
houses, farm
New house, new
buildings,
building, yes,
Yeah.
that's new construction.
commercial, yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
So the
tracking
new-
it.
So we are
We're
tracking
not
that.
allowed to, they include that evaluation increase in the
To
overall valuation.
in
in
the overall
growth.
growth.
Yep,
And that's not fair.
Nope.
No.
We had somebody join the public hearing, sir, do you want to introduce yourself? Do you have anything you want to say?
My name is Delmer Open. I'm just trying to figure out what's the meeting is about, really. I know I'm a little late, but.
You're fine.
Okay, no, welcome, glad to have you. So it's us trying to figure out, with them, with the state talking about their top priority in this legislative cycle is to revamp property taxes again. This is all gonna change probably. It sounds like they want to make a decision this session. We'll see what that is. There's a lot of fallout sometime. Hopefully it doesn't take an effect this budget. But they have done that before too. This is us doing the best we can. We went through the budget line by line. We tried to trim the fat every way we can. And it's just us trying to make it work because, we try to trim it as much as we can, but if you trim too much, the state don't let you get it back anymore. And so it's kind of a self penalization in effect, because we can't, what I remember is that every year they talked about the maxes would reset. But now that we know that they ain't, and they can, and so they don't understand that, at least the legislators I talk to don't quite understand why that is. And but here we sit, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to do what we need to do. We tried looking at insurance, and it literally got more expensive to kind of reduce the amount of insurance things that we wanted to insure, because we didn't do the umbrella policy. If we broke it apart, so to speak, it actually it would almost be more expensive. So
So the reason they opposed this whole 2% growth and all these deductions was because there was 30 counties that, and they called them the dirty 30, that were over the 350. And we were not one of them. But we get penalized because of them.
Mhm.
And it was their problem, and it imposed a penalty on all of us, basically. So it reduced our asking. As a whole, I don't know, Mr. Ilberman, if you want an explanation, a brief summary, just to say, basically, the levy rates are going down in two different budget areas, and it's going up county total 9 cents.
8.841 cents. And it, like I say, the one area where it looks like it's going up a lot is because we didn't have anything in that budget. And we had to move things in expenses from other budgets into that, because that's the only thing that we could put in there per state law. And then we had them in other budgets. It was kind of
because the other budgets were maxed out.
right, trying to get under the new forced
Yes.
levy rate. And
And the valuation, I will say that the valuation, the state, their limitation is, they limit us to 2% of growth based on 25-26 budget years valuation. They don't take it back to
The 3.5.
right,
Yeah.
right. So that's why it's just keeps that our tax rate in the general fund keeps lowering because of not allowing us to use that increased valuation from the reset, so, or the
I-
initial.
I see you pulled out your mailer. It is a general consensus that everybody in this room, to include the legislators that passed it, nobody can really read and understand what it says.
Bless you.
So don't feel bad.
So if you don't understand what it says, no, I will tell you, I can see where the tax increase is in that letter because I know the answer to the math problem. And you can reverse math, figure it out and see it. I am disappointed in how difficult it is to read because usually we could raise taxes probably 40 cents per thousand and that letter would look like it's a tax decrease. I don't understand it. Every time I look at it, it doesn't make sense. We take it to the state, we show it, and they're like, they're talking about trying to get rid of that letter because the people that passed it, made it law, don't understand quite how to read it.
Oh.
Yeah, so we completely agree with that letter. Just, there's a trash can over there if you want. It's a shame.
But it's an expense for us to send it
Right.
out. It's
I
expensive to
heard
bank.
that expensive something.
Yeah,
In defense of,
Because spend it
yeah,
and nobody understands it.
Keep in mind, though, that letter talks about 3 public hearings.
yeah.
If you're in a city,
Yes.
a city, a school in the county, so this is a 9-cent tax increase for just the county. We don't know what the cities have done.
Right.
Yeah.
So they also are trying to inform you, if you live in a city,
Country, so.
okay?
Yeah.
So then you also can contribute, you can go to a school board, public hearing.
I mean, basically, yeah, that's
I couldn't go to the annual school
Yeah.
meeting because of time. No, the
time of the meeting, yeah.
time of the meeting, I was just trying to understand where it's gonna lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to understand that, I think most schools, I can say, most schools are at least 50% of your property taxes are for the school district.
Right. And if I understand it right, at least in the Macocata School District, theirs is going down, not because they wanted to or they needed to, because they got too much money, is they only get so much tax dollars per student enrollment. And if enrollment drops, their budget drops and they have to adjust accordingly. And I empathize with the school boards because they are just beyond themselves strapped.
Pretty handcuffed, I'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what we're talking about is only a third of what, or a half of what is on your letter, because if you're in the county, you got school and you got county. We're just talking about us. We are not, this is not a joint list, what we're talking about. This is just for county. The school will have just theirs, and if you're in the city will have theirs. And
So if you look at this flyer and you compare your current, I'll talk about the counties. If you look at the current tax rate column, the third column to the right from the left, current tax rate, that tells you what we're taxing right now. If you go over clear to the right, the proposed tax rate, that is what the school board or the county is proposing. So that, and if you look at the urban, it's going from 5.37938 up to 5.2, or down to 5.28054. And the rural, which would be it's going from 8.43721 up to 8.52562.
9 cents.
9 cents, yes. And if you want to know what the dollars are, you would look at the current property tax, the second one from the left, and compare that from the second one from the right. Understandable?
No.
No.
So anyway,
Make it clearer,
to
but
be as clear as mud, it's really, really complicated because of in defense of the assessor, the assessments, whatever it is. I mean, this started back 4 or 5 years ago when interest rates were below 3. Figure this out. People were borrowing money to make money. So, and properties were selling 10, 20, 30%, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 more than what they were valued at because the money was available. So now that's catching up. The sales comparisons, they have to legally go by the sales comparisons. They can't justify somebody paid 50,000 more for that house than what it's worth. Okay, well, I guess they think it is. so be it. The more you pay for it, the more it's worth, I guess. You know, but the point is, that's catching up with, you know, the values are catching up, so. Your
It's a
growth is
valuations
gonna, yeah,
increase.
it's gonna change again. It's just a complicated formula.
And the assessor's office is also hamstringed by the state, because if they don't keep up with what the state feels is current market rates, they will come in with equalization orders. And they will
Blanket,
a
yeah.
blanket, everybody increases a such and such amount to get them to whatever, so it's state driven.
Yes, exactly.
You know.
So when that
Exactly.
furnace shows up to your yard, don't ask for a special exception.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, all in all, it is what it is, and I'm happy I live here.
You know? And that being said, I saw that the assessor's office sent out a notice that there's going to be Vanguard people going around and looking at residential properties, correct? And work with them, you know, I hate to say, if you don't let them in, you don't cooperate, they can make stuff, they can do the best they can to come up with that, so. But they are coming around, so know that that is a legitimate thing. They will identify themselves and all that kind of stuff to make sure you know it's legit. You can call the courthouse or the assessor's office and they will verify. But they are going around to do an evaluation, you know, because it's something we have to do, because if the state does equalization orders, that's bad. You know, it's not a fair.
Again, Don, it could be to your benefit, because the last time they did this, your evaluation may be based on comparable sales when things were outrageous. So this could be your benefit.
Right.
It could actually go down, evaluation could actually go down.
Yeah, so. But anything else for the good of the public hearing? Did we answer all your questions, or at least make them muddier or clearer?
Somewhat clear.
And I will say that this public hearing is just for the supervisors to inform the public what the proposed property tax, maximum proposed property tax dollars and levy rates are. It's not anything to do with the expense budget, you know, the revenue. I mean, it's just.
And we have to make our final decision by?
Next week, next Tuesday, you will set the public hearing, which will have the budget set.
Okay.
And then
So
we
if you
have to
have
have it-
concerns, feel free to.
Yes,
Let me bring a motion forward next Tuesday.
Okay, yeah.
The only question I've been asked thus far is there somewhere that the public can see your proposed county budget?
Well, after we set the public hearing,
Okay.
it will be on our website. It will
Okay.
be on the front page of our
Okay.
website.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Cause that was the question I had was, why have this meeting when I don't know what's in the budget?
So was it
Because how do I
proposed,
ask- How do I ask questions
Budget,
if I don't know
yeah.
what's in the budget?
published?
The proposed budget?
Yeah.
Has it been published? No,
No.
because you haven't approved it yet.
That's what we'll do next Tuesday.
Okay.
And for this this is to just set the maximum tax levy rate. We can go through between now and next Tuesday, we can say, okay, we're gonna scratch this and this, and we can lower that rate. We cannot raise it above what we set in this public hearing. And so that's why, you know, the budget could still change. Once we set it, the public hearing meeting next Tuesday, that kind of locks the budget in place. It can't be changed after that. Then it can be,
It can be lowered, but
It
it
can-
can't be raised.
it can be lowered, but that's where we can put it out on the website so everybody can see. So, any other questions?
And we will have copies of the budget available in our office once it's set.
Yes.
Don't make thick budget.
Mhm.
It's like 2 inches thick. That's the budget.
It's the,
If there's no further questions, or I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan, to close the public hearing for the proposed maximum property tax levy for fiscal year 27. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing is now closed. All right, and we take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to adjourn. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Have a good day, everybody.